So let us begin then with talking generally about issues of the economy. It's clear that North Carolina is making some progress. The unemployment rate is decreasing somewhat, and it's on its way, perhaps, if one is optimistic, to recovery. But it's also clear that there's a long way to go. So in this context then, what kind of economic development can be undertaken in the midst of all of these difficulties that might help bring jobs back into the picture and improve the circumstances of folks who are already in transition in an economy that's shifting? I'll start with you and move down the table. Senator?
Well, I think it's important to note that perhaps this is not a recession. It's almost been a mini depression, and that it wasn't just a temporary dip. It's a permanent down movement of the economy that we will have to build out over time. The estimate is it'll be 4 to 5 years before we're back to the revenue stream that we saw last year, or that we lost last year, to get the state moving again. So realizing it's not going to just bounce back, and there aren't going to be companies coming in here by the handfuls like there have been in the past, we're going to have to build out of it with our small businesses. That's where 85–90% of our jobs are anyhow, and we're going to have to do what we can in the state to get them moving. Probably the number one thing and the number one problem they're facing right now is lack of capital. No one can get a loan out here. And we've got some thoughts on that. A lot of what we're doing is dependent on what the federal government does, but we've got to somehow get small businesses moving again, get them the capital they need so that they can get out here and put our people back to work, and they can crank up tomorrow. They're all sitting there ready to go if we can just somehow shake this thing loose.
Okay. Senator McKissick, what are your thoughts?
Well, moving along the same line as Senator Nesbitt mentioned, we've actually lost, since the last 20 months, somewhere around 305,000 jobs from this economy. And if you were to look at what that might mean in terms of rebuilding that base, it would take us adding about 5,000 jobs a month over about a 5-year period to get back to where we were roughly about 2 years ago. Small business is the key to it all. Large businesses do a lot for this state. We want to do all that we can in terms of offering appropriate incentives as we have in the past and as we are moving forward in the future. We passed a bill last week that was targeted toward 5 specific corporations that have great interest in North Carolina that will provide the types of incentives to bring good paying jobs to this state. We need to be mindful of those types of efforts. Some of them will bring in small businesses, some will bring in major corporations. Likewise, for small businesses, we're looking at lowering the tax rate that they pay, particularly for those that may be paying up at 7.75% at the personal income tax rate versus the large corporate rate of about 6.9%. So providing lower tax rates will help us some, as well as loan pools that we are establishing and programs specifically targeted towards small business. There's a One North Carolina Small Business Fund which will help us leverage some federal grants in the range of about $1.5 million that will go there. We're trying to work with our community colleges to make sure the small business centers in all 58 of our community colleges are adequately funded and have the resources that they need. We're doing all that we can to make sure that we establish the type of environment where the small businesses can grow, can thrive, can prosper, can provide jobs in their respective communities, because that will do more to help us recover from this economic downturn than anything else.
Okay. And Senator Bingham?
There was a bill last session which was passed in the Senate unanimously. I'm sure, Senators, you remember this, the L3C, yes, in which it was called an endangered manufacturing bill, in which it allowed for recipient of grant funds through foundations, et cetera, low interest rates, et cetera, and we had a lot of success. This has been passed already in several other states, and it was initiated. Jim Jackaman, who's a NC State engineer and a clever businessman, came up with this idea, and we got it through the Senate, and we're in hopes that we'll get this bill passed through the House this year. We got bogged down last year in one of the problems that we had, and so I think Michigan has since passed that bill, and they have, I believe Senator Jackman had told me something like 300 to 400 companies already startups. So these are small companies, but it's low interest loans and other things. So it's very promising. I'm excited about it. And also, there were a couple companies that that Senator Jackman had spoken with, and they were talking about leaving China and coming back to this country if we get this particular bill passed. And so I'm very excited about that, because it goes along with all the other things that has mentioned here, but it's an addition to, and it allows companies who have large foundations and funds to promote low interest loans and do this through a strategic process, and where it will not be the long waiting period in which a business or someone who has an idea and they take some of these old, dilapidated manufacturing facilities and convert them back into new. And so it's a very promising bill. I'm in hopes we'll move in that direction and get some of the success we've had, or some of the success they've had in other states from this.